a ton of news on the immigration front. You've got self-deportations skyrocketing as illegals are realizing that they can't use our court system to try and save them. The Senate prepares to vote on the SAVE Act, which would secure only Americans can vote in our elections. And I want to start there on SAVE. Do you think that your leader, John Thune, is warming up to the idea of amending or killing the filibuster to get what is so critically vital to this country, which is a secure election like the rest of the first world has, to get that done?
Well, look, I very much hope the Senate takes up and passes the Save America Act. It's simple, common sense legislation. The House has passed it now. It critically does two things. Number one, it requires proof of American citizenship to register to vote. And number two, it requires a photo ID to vote. That is common sense. The overwhelming majority of Americans agree with it. The House has passed it. And unfortunately, Democrats in the Senate are absolutely opposed because as a party, they have decided that voter fraud is good for them, that they want illegal aliens voting for them. That's how they stay in power. They don't want photo ID. And so the case, Rob, that I'm making to my colleagues is that we ought to use every procedural tool we can to run through the Democrats' opposition. And in particular, we should nuke what's called the zombie filibuster. The zombie filibuster is essentially allowing the Democrats to say, we're filibustering this, but then not requiring them to do anything. We should require the Democrats to do an old-fashioned talking filibuster. Think Jimmy Stewart in Mr. Smith went to Washington. Mr. Smith goes to Washington, yeah. Or for that matter, think the 21 hours that I filibustered on the Senate floor fighting Obamacare. And we should make them stand and talk and talk and talk. And when they can't talk anymore, then we should pass it. And
then they have to sit there and talk about something that, in a negative light, that almost 90% of the people in this country want. I mean, even black Americans, they call it Jim Crow. 76% of black Americans want this to pass. And they have the audacity to call it Jim Crow. So 3/4 of black Americans in this country want to Jim Crow themselves.
Well, and 3/4 of Democrat voters across the country want photo ID, support photo ID. You know, a couple of decades ago, the state of Indiana passed a photo ID law for voting, and a group of left-wing plaintiffs went to court and challenged it, and it went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. I was the Solicitor General of Texas, which was the chief lawyer for the state of Texas in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, and I represented Texas and a group of states defending photo ID. We won 6-3. The lead opinion was written by Justice John Paul Stevens, who was actually one of the most liberal justices to serve on the court. And Justice Stevens took the Democrats' argument that this is suppressing the minority vote and flat out rejected it. And he said photo ID protects the integrity of democracy. And here's the critical point, Rob. Justice Stevens says when someone illegally votes, when a non-citizen illegally votes, that act disenfranchises legal voters. Yeah. This is about fighting to save the right to vote for every American and not let the Democrats steal it.
Every illegal vote cancels out a legal vote and cancels out one of our votes. Yep. And that's so. And one thing I talk about with my friend a lot, you know, we say, like, you know, every citizen has a Social Security number, right? So you take the Social Security number, you all vote based off of that. You have a couple of verifications, place of birth, maybe something else, mother's maiden, whatever it is. You put it all into a file. And then you vote based on that number, and then you can put it all on a website, and you can go and check your vote. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to just go into a government archive and say, here's my 7-digit Social Security number, here's this verification, and I can see you voted for Donald Trump in 2024, you voted for this person and this. You could have it all right there so easily. We have this in so many different places in our country, but in voting, we want chaos and fraud.
Yeah, I got to say I'd be a little bit nervous about that idea, Rob, because I would be concerned about someone hacking in and making your vote public. And I do think the right to cast a vote and keep it anonymous it is a fundamental right of a citizen. So I would be nervous about mischief that could come from that. But I think we ought to take every step we can to ensure the integrity of elections. It's why I like Texas has moved to paper ballots. I think that is a security enhancing step. And by the way, the Democrats' arguments that Hispanics and African Americans can't get IDs, that essentially we're too dumb to get IDs. Well, you know what? I'm proud to be an Hispanic, and somehow the process of getting a driver's license was not that complicated. You need an ID to drive a car.
Yeah.
You need an ID to buy a beer at a bar. You need an ID to get on an airplane. You need an ID to get married. You need an ID to watch an R-rated movie. And here's the kicker. You know what you need an ID to do? To go to the Democratic National Convention. Yeah. In fact, one of my colleagues, John Ossoff, the very liberal Democrat from Georgia, he had a big rally standing up saying photo ID is racist, it is terrible.
You needed ID to get in.
You know what you needed to go to John Ossoff's rally? A photo ID.
Exactly. Senator Ted Cruz, good to see you. We appreciate it.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.